Time Warner Cable and Metro Sports presents RacinBoys TV with Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott. A look at racing in the Midwest and around the country. Brought to you in part by McCarthy Chevrolet and RacinBoys.com.
Welcome to another edition of RacinBoys TV here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. RacinBoys TV is brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet and Kansas Speedway. I'm Scott Traylor, along with Kirk Elliott. We are the RacinBoys from Sports Radio 810 WHB and RacinBoys.com. And we are at Kansas Speedway, Kirk. And before we get into last week's action at Talladega, a lot of things going on out here at Kansas Speedway. The Richard Petty driving experience is out here, laying a little rubber down on the racetrack, but it's your non-school drivers that are out there today.
And a gathering of former Nationwide Series champions. I couldn't believe how many of them were here today, including two-time champion Randy LaJoie, David Green, Steve Grissom, and throw in Brad Nossinger, who's a veteran racer of his own, and just all a part of a beehive of activity that's been going on here since the paving project was completed here a couple of months ago.
Very encouraged by what we're hearing those drivers tell Pat Warren during their lunch break. We had a chance to sit in with those guys, and all of them believe that there's going to be two grooves. The racing's going to be great out here next week for the Sprint Cup Series as well as the Nationwide Series, so very optimistic about that. Kirk, let's just get into last week's race at Talladega. Matt Kenseth picks up another restrictor plate win, and in dramatic fashion with the big pile up there towards the end of the race.
And he was out in front all day long. He almost got in trouble when his teammate Greg Biffle turned him sideways. He's able to gather it back in, but anybody who went to the back of the racetrack for part of that race and thinking they're going to run their way back up towards the front all got caught up in that big crash right there at the end of the race on the last lap, with Tony Stewart admitting that he was the one that caused that wreck. So lesson is, Scott, maybe it's best to stay out in front all day.
Looked like Mike Waltrip had a good run going there, and it looked like he might be on his way to picking up a win, driving on a limited schedule, the 55 car. But unfortunately, as you said, Kirk, Tony Stewart threw the block, and it backfired on him, and it took out nearly 20 cars, including our local driver, Clint Boyer, who looked like he was going to have a solid run as well.
Are you happy with the pack racing? It looks like it's back in full force now.
Anybody that knows anything about the RacinBoys know that I love pack racing. Kirk does not. Going down to Charlotte this weekend, Kirk, Matt Kenseth won this race last year. Casey Kane won the 600 earlier this year.
Yeah, and mile-and-a-half racetracks are the staple of the chase, and Matt Kenseth, who is well behind, I think he's out of this hunt right now, but he's run well on these types of racetracks. But look for Denny Hamlin, who won here at Kansas Speedway in the spring, and also Casey Kane to make his move up towards and make a run for it.
If you look at the drivers 4th back to 10th or 11th, they're separated by 15 points, Kirk. And I've got to believe if the top three guys, if you look, have a problem, one race, it's going to bring all those guys from 4th to 10th back into the chase for the championship. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but it could. And if that does happen, it's going to tighten up the point race dramatically. All right, let's get into it. It's time for the RacinBoys TV highlight.
It's down to the last 2 points races heading into last Friday night at Lakeside Speedway. In the early going, it was 34 Aaron Morant and three-time winner Cody Agler in the 77 fighting it out, with the hottest driver of late, Darrin Fuqua, also in the mix. Morant finds a home on the low side as Fuqua becomes his primary challenger. Morant is finally able to seize control, but it wouldn't last. His left front tire started going down, and the result was a spin and a 17th place showing. Once Fuqua assumed the lead, it was a cruise on to the checkered flag for his 6th feature victory and 11th overall this season. Kerry Davis was second ahead of Nick Bittinger and Austin Siebert, as Tim Carrick's 5th place showing was enough to lock down his 3rd Lakeside championship. Fast Fall Series at Valley Speedway continued on Saturday night. In USRA Modifieds, Terry Schultz in the blue 90 attempting to take full advantage of the pole. But he has Iowa's Dennis Elliott in the 29 holding firm on the inside. Elliott moves past Schultz and into the lead with Tim Setzer in the second Hunt 99 and points leader Dean Willey in hot pursuit. Elliott keeps the field at arm's length until lap traffic comes into play with less than 5 laps remaining. That is Dan Eaton turning left into Elliott, who was given his spot back at the front with the entire right side torn off. Damage to the right rear kept Elliott from getting the jump he wanted on the restart, and Willey goes to the outside. In an attempt to hold him back, that opens up the inside to Setzer. Now Elliott really has his work cut out on what was the best racetrack in weeks out at Valley. Willie looks comfortable on the high side as he has all season long. Momentum gives him what he needs. The new clay added in August has taken hold now after 6 weeks, and the result is a much smoother surface. Once out in front, Willie pulls away as Elliott battles Setzer for second. It's his 9th feature win of the season as Elliott hangs on for the runner-up spot. Setzer, Matt Dotson, and Mickey Burrell round out the top 5, with Schultz ending up 6th. Non-wing Valley sprints close out the night, and Josh Stevens gets the early jump on the competition. The 17 cars starting the race all over the 3/8 mile dirt. As the track gets slicker by the lap, trouble ensues in turn 2. Dylan Cadis in the 11 gets into the 89 of Todd McVeigh. McVeigh keeps moving, and up and over he goes, no one hurt. On the restart, Stevens let it be known it was his night as he keeps Rob Hockett and everyone else well behind. Lots of slipping and sliding going on as Stevens stays glued to the bottom. Here he comes towards the checkered flag in what was a dominating performance.
Well, congratulations to all the winners on the local level from RacinBoys TV. When we come back, we're going to visit with the president of Kansas Speedway, Pat Warren.
In ancient times, hordes of people gathered to watch gladiators battle to achieve victory and honor. Some things never change. See the toughest competitors of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series do battle at Kansas Speedway. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 on October 21st start at $64, and we have more pricing options than ever before. Bring your own cooler, and parking is free. For tickets, call 866-460-RACE or visit kansasspeedway.com.
Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay, but you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
Welcome back to RacinBoys TV here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. We're at Kansas Speedway, and a little bit earlier we went up to the Hollywood Casino and had a chance to sit down with the president of Kansas Speedway, Pat Warren.
Yeah, you know, October's always a little bit chancy in Kansas, as is the spring. But right now the long-range forecast for our race weekend is 71 degrees and no rain, so yeah. I'm excited about that. Actually, the reason we had to schedule the race when we did was not that the pavement wouldn't be ready, but that we needed 45 days between a tire test and the race itself, in case Goodyear needed to build a new tire. Yeah, I think we're a lot like Phoenix was last year. We're a little bit earlier in the chase. I think they were the 9th race last year. We're the 6th race, and because we've got not only a new pavement but a new configuration, all the teams are coming in with almost nothing in terms of a background or a notebook on the track. The teams that did the tire test here have a little bit more information, but frankly, we've done a lot to the track in terms of putting rubber into it since then, and so I think when they come back, they're really going to see a different racetrack. It's actually a device that they were originally built for drag strips, to prepare a drag strip for drag racing. And we used one last year at Phoenix International Raceway to put rubber into the track, which enhances the racing because it allows the drivers to run different places on the track. When the Sprint Cup teams were here for the tire test, they primarily ran a low line because that's where they put rubber down. It gave them time to save the car in the event that the tires slipped or they went up the track. So what we're doing is we're taking the Tire Dragon, which is a device that attaches to the back of a New Holland tractor, and it turns the tires actually in the opposite direction of travel at about one rotation for 20 rotations of the tire. You go about 10 miles an hour, and it literally just sounds like screeching tires the entire time you're doing it. You've got to wear earplugs, and you go through a set of 4 Goodyear Eagles in about 4 hours and take them down literally to the cord. We don't really have a need to put rubber in the bottom groove right now. Where everybody's going to go. Right, and so everything we're doing is from the bottom groove up, and really we're focusing on the groove immediately above the bottom groove, but we're also putting rubber higher on the track as well. Yeah, we're very excited about having a Grand Am event. We're going to be the only other night race on the schedule other than the 24 hours in Daytona, and so that's going to be a great event. I think we're going to have an 8 o'clock start time, and 8 o'clock in August is just about sunset. We had looked at some other dates, and August, the timing in August, the time of day, and 8 o'clock in August, you start to lose the heat of the day, and we're really excited about being able to run the event at night. And the other thing that's exciting for us that the series is telling us is that they think we're going to be one of the fastest tracks on the series. We have the longest stretch of pedal-to-the-floor racing. It's either 6,700 or 7,200 straight of flat out racing, and that's really from the exit of the road course through what they call NASCAR 3 and 4 back to the entrance of the road course. You know, we designed the course hand in hand with Grand Am. I say we, I wasn't one of the designers, I was just involved looking at reviews of it. But, the goal was to create a wide racetrack that would be fast and encourage lots of passing. Inside a 1.5 mile tri-oval, there's limited things you can do from a technical perspective, and so our goal was to create great racing by creating great passing and a lot of room for the cars. And I think that's what the drivers are excited about, and certainly the people that were here for the tire test said that. Of course, we're going to have a major Grand Am test the weekend after our Sprint Cup weekend, which will be open to the public, free, and people get to come out and see all the cars on the track. And the teams are telling us they're very excited about that. Grand Am is treating it almost like a race. They've been talking to us about the credentials, everything we have to do, and so it's not going to, it will be a much bigger deal than even the tire test that we had for the Sprint Cup Series. We have seen a jump in ticket sales. We've got a couple extra weeks to sell, which is nice too. But we're running about 10% higher this year on a daily basis over where we were a year ago on the same days out from the race. And that's sort of how you compare it. You say, okay, you know, in the 30 days prior to the race, how many tickets did you sell? And we're running about 10% higher right now than we were a year ago. The Grand Am ticket will not be part of the season ticket package, but our season ticket fans will have an opportunity to buy it at a significant discount.
Well, as you can tell, Pat Warren is pretty excited about next week's Cup and Nationwide Series race here at Kansas Speedway. A lot of great input from the drivers, I know, as well as the guys out here running the Richard Petty Driving Experience cars are giving 2 thumbs up on the surface, and they're very optimistic they'll be able to run 2 wide here at Kansas Speedway next week. When we come back, we're going to talk a little sprint car racing on RacinBoys TV.
Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay. But you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extends the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
Welcome back to RacinBoys TV, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet and Kansas Speedway, where we have a big week of racing coming up here in just a matter of days. But on the dirt tracks here in Kansas City, non-wing sprint car racing has been very popular. Car counts have been high out at Valley Speedway, and the points championship went right down to the wire between 2 fierce competitors, Joshua Stevens and Brad Ryan.
As a driver, I mean, for me, it takes a little bit of the pressure off of you when you're starting in the back, because you can only go forward, and for me, it's more relaxing. I mean, I can see where everybody's running, kind of make adjustments. I think that's been my biggest shortcoming in a sprint car, is getting out in the lead and thinking I can just run the same line the whole feature. A lot of the stock car stuff, once you found a line, it was generally there. These sprint cars, with the big tires, and they'll lay some rubber down every now and then, and the line will change. And I've let a few of them go this year just because I got comfortable in my line. So coming from the back, you don't get a chance to do that. You kind of find the fast line, every other lap, because you got to go around somebody. So coming from the back's been kind of our thing. I think I kind of fall into a rhythm, and I kind of see a line that works, and I have a hard time veering away from it. Obviously, if somebody sticks their nose in and shows you the line, the problem with it's been is the races I've lost, they've showed it to me a lap too late or a corner too late. I lost one to Cody. Well, twice this year I've lost to Cody. He found the rubber before me one night out here and beat me in it, and then at Lebanon he beat me. He ran down there in the rough stuff, and I tried to stay up there in the smooth stuff and keep my nose clean, and he took one away from us. If we'd have went one more corner, I might have got it. Teamed up with Neil Motorsports a couple years ago when I got into the sprint car deal. They gave me a really, real good deal. I mean, I'd never been in a sprint car, never even sat in the seat of one, and he asked me to come out and test with him. We come out and test, and you know, I've been driving the car ever since. You know, since then we've kind of became a partnership deal. I sold off all my modified stuff, and you know, it's been going good. We got a new 410 motor in the works. They just they just bought, and it's getting put together now. You know, when I got in them, I really loved driving a wing car. I didn't care so much without the wing, and then it's kind of went the other way now. You know, without the wing on, it seems like if we do miss the setup a little bit, you know, with the wingless, I can kind of manhandle it or finesse it, or maybe find something on the track to make it work. And if we miss the setup with a wing on it, we're out to lunch.
It's been a great season for us this year. We've had a lot of ups this season instead of downs. We've had a hard time in the past staying on the track, keeping things going, but that hasn't been an issue this year for us. We've had a lot of stiff competition. Josh Stevens has been up there with us all season, Kenny Potter as well, and all these guys are real fast, and everybody here that shows up has a chance to win every night. Dennis has got a great thing going. It's real close to a lot of people, and he's paying good money, and they've got a lot of other groups coming up too as far as the War Series goes, and they're doing some traveling, picking up cars. It's just a great way to do it. It's a lot more competitive in my eyes. You can take a lesser car with a lesser motor and go out there and do some good. So that's why we're here. I started in micros 2001, and from there I started in a 305 Sprint at the age of 15 and raced with a wing. Last year was the first year we took off the wing, and we kind of fell in love with it. It's been real fun for us. But this has been our home track for quite a while now, and getting used to it and knowing our way around it, and it's just a lot of fun. The competition level and the level of equipment that you got to have is a lot lower. You can go out, you know, like I said, with a lesser car, a lesser motor, and be able to keep up with these guys with a big motor because you can't use it all. You don't have all the downforce anymore, and it takes a lot of the money out of the game. So that's what's been biggest for us, just knowing we can go out with what we've got and be able to win. I haven't sat in a wing car for quite a while now, so it's hard to say, but I know that there's a big difference as far as pitching the car and keeping it going and trying to keep your momentum up when you have no downforce, and trying to get traction is major. But it all plays a role in throttle control, which you got to have with a wing too. So it all plays together. You just got to know what not to do whenever you got a wing on, I suppose. We've always been able to pull wins. The last two of them has been on the last lap, which has been really fun. We get a really thin cushion going on up here, and you just kind of ride it out and let momentum take over. And that's been the saving grace for us quite a few times. You just get up there and let it air out. I take these things almost completely down to a bare frame and go back again. You know, I don't unhook brakes or anything like that, but suspension-wise, everything comes apart. Gets checked, greased, maintenance, you know. And to do it right, that's what you got to do. I mean, because everything's so lightweight on these things, stuff breaks pretty easy. It means the world to us. It means a lot, honestly. It'd be our first points championship, and we've never honestly tried to run for points before. We found ourselves sitting in third, and we honestly didn't know how it happened. So we kept running. We came here weekly, and that's where we ended up. Hopefully we can hang on to it.
Right after we had this conversation with Brad Ryan, he was in for a roller coaster of a night. He had some problems in the hot laps, had a wheel fall off right at the start of his heat race, and then got caught up in a crash at the start of the A main. He had to start at the back after repairs were made, and he was still able to get himself back up, finish fifth, and secure the championship. Congratulations to him. When we come back, we're going to talk to Darrin Christy, who was involved in a horrendous accident out at Lakeside Speedway. That's all when RacinBoys TV continues. Stay with us.
I've got this friend, big NASCAR fan. Yeah! Totally into it. I say, man, I don't get it. What am I missing here? My buddy says, dude, you have no idea.
Come on out to Kansas Speedway and see what you've been missing. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 on October 21st start at $64, and we have more pricing options than ever before. Call 866-460-RACE or visit kansasspeedway.com.
Welcome back to Racing Boys TV here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. Again, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet and Kansas Speedway. Tickets still available for all the action out here next week at Kansas Speedway. Just go to kansasspeedway.com to get your tickets today. Kirk, let's step back into the local racing scene. One of the fan favorites for many years around this area is Darrin Christy, better known as Bear. He's a big guy, drives a street stock, wins a lot of races out at Lakeside Speedway, but unfortunately his season come to an end just a few weeks ago because he had a terrible wreck as he entered turn 3. We all know about how you have to exit the track at Lakeside Speedway, and that leaves a blunt wall right there in turn 3, and Darrin Christy unfortunately hit that wall.
Yeah, very scary wreck for a factory stock indeed, but when he crawled out of the car and was walking around, you're thinking he's okay. Then you hear the next morning that he had several broken bones after being taken to the hospital. Talk about a tough guy, but he is on the mend, and he cannot wait to get back behind the wheel of a race car.
Yeah, I've been feeling a lot better, just still real sore from the ribs and the sternum. My therapist told me to get out, and not overdo it, but get out and about. So I've been trying to get out of the recliner. So we decided to come out here. Dad's cooking food for some of the teams today, so I decided to ride along. It was all small breaks. I cracked my sternum and cracked 3 ribs, and then I cracked a bone in my foot and bruised my tailbone. So a lot of small stuff that just going to take time to heal. I always like running high out there. In the lap before, I had a good run on the car in front of me, coming down the back straightaway going into 3, and next lap I thought I could probably get him by running that same line, and another car snuck in between us, and I wasn't ready for it, and I was already up high, and I tried to cut it down and just run out of room. So, you know, caught the end of the wall, and that's all she wrote. I went for a ride. Yeah, I mean, it knocked the wind out of me. I seen it all coming. I never lost consciousness and seen it coming, so I pretty much rode it out, and to me it didn't hurt that bad at first, but like I said, when I hit the wall, it knocked the wind out of me. I landed on my top, and I kind of panicked a little, hanging there upside down. It was about 5 minutes or so, but they got me rolled back over so I could get out. I wasn't going to climb. I'm too big to climb out of it upside down. And I've thought about it a lot, and I really don't know. I mean, I've always thought maybe leave the tires there and cut it down to like ramping it, you know, where it's not a hard impact when you do hit the corner of the wall. I don't know if maybe that, you know, maybe ramping it would help, you know, maybe, you know, take away some of the sting. Yeah, it really is. I tell everybody my feelings are hurt worse than anything, but it has been a good car. We got it working good this year, and yeah, it's pretty much wasted, so we're going to tear it apart when I get to feeling better, and hopefully the motor's still good. I can save some parts. I got my brother Scott's car to fall back on for next year. Almost sold it, and it looks like that'll be my car for 2013. We're looking into it. He's wanting to get back into it. Got some guys to help him, and so him and my dad are looking at moving to the B-Mod class. So hopefully get him back out there, but that's the plan right now.
Well, you can tell why Darrin Christy is one of the fan favorites out at Lakeside Speedway. He does so much for the racing community, the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame Committee, as well as Lakeside Speedway. Darrin and his dad, Kirk, along with about 50 other people, went out there and just donated a lot of elbow grease to get that place cleaned up after the flood last year.
And right now they're working hard for the big carb swap meet that's coming up at the end of this month to raise money for the Carb Hall of Fame. Make sure you attend that. And one thing I like about Darrin Christy is not only is he a winning race car driver, but you see him as a fan. Wherever he's not behind the wheel of a race car, he's out there attending a race somewhere. So great ambassador for racing here in Kansas City.
I concur. For Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor. We'll see you next week right here on Racing Boys TV.